Welcome to Brand Lover, honest, real and lively conversations for flourishing entrepreneurs and budding business owners on a mission to cultivate a heartfelt brand that connects with their purpose-driven mission. My hope is that you walk away feeling inspired and refreshed with a weekly takeaway in your back pocket that you can apply to your life or business. Welcome to Brand Lover. This week I have a beautiful lady that I want to introduce you to. Her name is Teresa Tripodi. Some of you might know her already. I think it's been a few years now that we've been in the same circles and worked together several times. So I know her quite well, but I really want you to get to know her because she's a beautiful soul and she has got so much to give. So welcome, Teresa.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's so nice.
You're most welcome. So I'm not going to intro you. I would love you to do that. So tell us a little bit about you personally, and then also I would love you to introduce your beautiful brand.
Sure. So hi, I'm Teresa. I am a wife and mum to two very active boys. We're based in Sydney, and I come from a big Italian family. My husband comes from a big Italian family, so you can just imagine what that's all like. And my brand is Sherbet Creations. So I help women in business with their gifting. So that can cover all sorts of different facets, which I'm sure we'll get into a little bit later.
Yes, please.
But yeah, there's some traditional methods and some more creative methods that people might not have thought of either.
Yeah, amazing. So you mentioned your big family.
Yes.
And I know that you like entrepreneurship, I guess, is kind of in your blood.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit more about that and your journey and, what else is going on in your life, because I know that your husband has his own business as well and you've got some other things that you're working on. So if you would like to share that as well, please do.
Yeah, of course. Yes. So entrepreneurship is very much in both our families, actually.
Oh.
So all of my grandparents basically have had their own businesses as well.
Wow.
Yes. So dating back to both of my grandfathers came from Italy to Australia on their own. My dad's dad had his family already at home, whereas my mum's dad came like as a single man and started his family here. But they both were, business owners. They created their own way of life. They, struggled with the language, so that it was difficult to get jobs and things like that. So they just worked on their strengths to do that. And then by the time my dad came over, because he was born in Italy as well, he went to school for a little bit, but then he opened up a butcher shop with my uncle. And then they both ended up having their own butcher shops because, why not? And yeah, they, had their own businesses up until not long ago. My dad just retired.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah. So over 40 years of a butcher and manufacturing and stuff like that for small goods.
Yeah, amazing. So were you always, going to start a business? Was that something that...
Not really, actually. I always thought, like when I was younger, I always wanted to, and I'd make little makeshift businesses. So I used to have like a massage parlor. I made a room at home and I'd make flyers and give it to my family and friends.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, yes. You know the fluoro A4 paper, the multicolor fluoro paper?
Yes.
That you put in your printer? Yeah, that was my flyers on those colors.
Classy.
Oh, yes, big time. And, I always wanted to open up a restaurant, an Italian restaurant. I think Dad, being in the food industry, he would supply a lot of meat to all the local restaurants. So I used to sort of think, what would I do in my own restaurant? I'll take that from that one and that from that one. So,
yeah. So even though you weren't consciously really thinking in the future, it was always just part of who you were.
Oh, big time. Yeah, because I'm an only child as well. So I spent a lot of time with my parents at work, or when we'd sort of go networking, I'd go with my dad to events or
that's awesome.
Different suppliers and things. So I was exposed to a lot of that growing up.
Yeah, that's amazing. So So tell us about your family business as well.
Yes. So we've got a couple of businesses.
Just a couple.
That we're entrepreneurial. That's just our vibe. So my husband's a building designer. So we have that business, Design Concepts. So he helps, like, residential plans and house plans and whatnot. We've got another business together that is coming in the architectural residential space as well. That's called ePlan Hub, which you'll find on Instagram for now, but it's coming.
It's coming. Watch this space. It's going to be incredible.
Rachel helped us with some stuff as well, so you can see her work. And then we've got my business, which is, as I mentioned, Sherbet Creations. So yeah, we've got a few.
So there's a lot going on there.
Yeah,
but we're here to really focus on Sherbet Creations, and you. But it's
that's
just
my baby.
Fascinating to to hear your story and to that. It's like it's not normal. Like, it's not normal for, do you know what I mean? Like, in a good way.
That's fine. I've never been normal. It's good.
No.
I love it.
I meant, but like, it's fascinating. I think it's fascinating because for me to be an entrepreneur, even to say that is a bit weird, like, it's a bit strange. I feel like a little bit of a black sheep in the family, I guess, because most of my family are teachers. So it's funny now that I'm teaching branding and design.
That's right, in your own way.
I tried to avoid it, but it's sort of come back around to bite me in the bum. But yeah, I love that. I love that. That's part of your heritage and it's part of your upbringing, and that it's so it's really just part of who you are, and I think that's amazing. Like, just coming from someone who's got totally different perspective, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners do too, because starting a business is scary, and it's scary enough even when you've been exposed to it, let alone.
I was going to say that even for someone that's been around it so much and different businesses and things, it's still just as scary.
And so anyway, it's just, I love it. Okay, so all right, let's get back on track. So I know, as I said earlier, I know a lot about your journey because we've worked together, but I know that particularly with the Sherbet Creations, it hasn't been a real linear trajectory, which is sort of what you expect when you start a business. You're like, this is what I'm going to do, this is where I'm going, and that's that. And quite often it doesn't go that way, and our brands do evolve and we have to adapt with them. So tell us a little bit about that journey and how Sherbet Creations was actually born, and sort of how it's I guess evolved and progressed to where you are now.
Yeah, for sure. It's been a journey, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't believe it. The way it started was a partnership between myself and my sister-in-law, and we had craft kits for kids. It's completely, you can't even see
totally different target audience.
You can't even see the relationship there. But she was in the early childhood space, and then I really enjoyed the marketing space, so we put our heads together, and that was born. Shortly after, she wanted to return back to that career, and for me, I didn't have that early childhood expertise, and it wasn't what lit me up. So I sort of changed it a little bit to focus on real estate and settlement gifts, because my career prior to children was a real estate agent. So I had that experience. So, and I knew that a lot of the agents I knew were trying to give gifts, and I always thought, we could be a bit more creative. We could be a bit more nicer than that. Let's elevate it a little bit. So I did that for a little bit, and that was, I think the decision to do that for me it was kind of an easy decision. I knew potential customers already. I had some relationships going, and I felt like I could sort of go there in that space. But then I figured out that it didn't light me up either.
Okay.
That was my career.
That's interesting.
Time. Yeah. It just.
So you went that way because you felt like it was going to be smooth and easy because you knew
a little bit easier. Yeah. Like that's what I thought, well, what else do I know? What else can I offer? Oh, I was a real estate agent for so long. Let's pull that.
Yeah. And that wasn't the thing.
It was okay. Like, I feel like, and I know I still speak to so many of my real estate friends, but they all wanted the same thing.
Yeah.
And it just got a bit like, oh, you want that? Okay.
You were bored. You were bored, Teresa.
And I get bored very easily.
Yeah. Well, that's a fairly common entrepreneurial trait, isn't it?
Definitely. So I needed something where it would really test my like creative side of my brain. I needed to exercise that a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found slowly, I was attracting new customers that were women, other business owners, like people similar to me.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed working with them because I got to understand their brand and I would get to implement their values and their colors and all that kind of stuff in the gift. So every job was different.
Yeah.
I was like, yes, this is good. This is fun.
Yeah. So then did you decide to was that a conscious decision to sort of lean into that more?
Yeah, definitely wanted to lean to that more. So I had to change my branding again. So, which is where you came into my life. Because my previous logo, which was my second logo, so I had my craft logo, then I had my second one. It was black and white. It was all like monotonal. It didn't have any warmth or much personality. It was very corporate. So I wanted it to reflect a bit of my personality and a bit of who I wanted to attract as well. So we did that.
Yes. And so how are things going now?
Oh, so much better. I really love what I'm doing. I love who I get to work with. I get to meet, mainly virtually, but I get to meet so many inspiring women that it lights me up each time when I get to talk to someone new and hear about their story and their business. So.
Yeah. And I mean, I've hired you and you've hired me. So that's what I mean when we know each other fairly well. But, you know, like the thing I loved about working with you, I think the most was that you seem to get just excited about my brand as I do, you know, like when Teresa came up with a custom gift solution for my high-end branding clients, and it couldn't be more perfect. And I just, you know, you can tell you just glow when we were talking about it. I still distinctly remember the conversation because I think it was the end of our brand discovery session for you. So we were kind of we started talking about it, and then I was kind of like, oh, I'm sort of stuck. I want to do this. I've got this, you know, I've got this idea about how I want them to feel and, you know, what I want to do for them. And you were like, wow, how about this? And I was like,
yep. Yes. I think I even grabbed an item of mine. And I was like, look at this.
And I said, that's perfect. And it was so good. So yeah, I guess it's that, it's the alignment, like it's that whole alignment of, you know, knowing what you want to do and for you, like for your passion and for your purpose, and having all of the steps of your brand in alignment to, you know, to discovering who that perfect person is, to be able to, it's like a two-way street. It's, you know, like they get the benefit out of it and you then in return get that personal fulfillment, which is what heart aligned branding is all about. And I guess part of this whole podcast idea came from. So, you know, you encompass that. Sorry, I just blended two words together.
So good. I was rolling with it.
Anyway, I just wanted to toot your horn then.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
So let's just talk about the actual gifting side of things. What is it that you love about the concept of gift giving, and why does that light you up so much, you know, outside of, you know, who you work for and how you do it, but more just about, you know, tell us about that.
Sure. I mean, even growing up, I was always the kid that would look into the positive things and always seeing the positive side of life and really showing my gratitude for people. So I would be the one that would, you know, write little drawings or send things, or I had pen pals, all that kind of stuff. And I really enjoyed letting people know that I was grateful for them.
Yes.
And I try to carry that on into my adult life. Obviously, it gets a little bit, you don't send drawings as much anymore.
Not quite. Well, I do.
You do, with your little designs and sketches. But I always wanted to make people feel good and lift people up.
Yeah.
And I found that also with me as well, I changed the way even I shopped. Like I would then sort of shop more from small businesses, and I was really intentional about that because I knew that on the other end they would be doing a happy dance, or I would be contributing to some life goal that they had or something, you know.
That's such a nice way to look at it.
So I tried to change sort of that, you know, way of life, and I sort of brought that into the business as well.
Yeah. That's so beautiful. I love it. And let's talk about that. That actually is a really good segue to the next question, which I had. I just really love to find out, like, how does it work? Because I know that you've got ready-made gift packages, but you also do custom. So sort of how does that work? How do you find new suppliers? How do you know that they're the right ones for you? How do you anticipate what people are going to want? You know, how do you source brands that you want to collaborate with? Like how does
all that happen?
So overwhelming to me.
Well, it's been like a learning curve, because for me, it's like what I like and what I might enjoy could be different to other people. Yeah. So for the last few years, I've just been getting to know a lot of people for different reasons. So I would get to know people as, you know, potential clients, or if they sort of align with who I think is my ideal target, I'll get to know them. And, you know, I love a good social media, you know, hang out and chat in the DMs. And like, I feel like I'm friends with all of my social media followers.
You're a very gifted networker.
Yes, I think that comes from my dad, actually. I've come from the realization in this podcast, because he's the type of person that you walk around and people know him. He just gravitates people. But I just like to get to know people, and that kind of just makes what I'm looking for a little bit deeper. Yeah. And then in the same sort of sense with the suppliers and the businesses that I stock, I try and do as much networking as I can. So when we were allowed to, I would go to like the gift fairs and the trade fairs and things like that. I would generally find brand new people there. Like, it would be rare to find someone, or there might be a few that I know. Yeah. That's always kind of the start of the journey and the relationship. Then you follow them online and you get to know them. And as long as our values are similar between me, them, and my potential clients, I have to try and make sure they all marry up. Yeah. Then I, you know, inquire about building another relationship and having them come on board and things like that. Yeah.
Bring you home to meet the parents. And
that's it. Yeah, you'll come and home with me.
You can come to my Sherbet Creation family.
Come to the fam, exactly.
That shows true integrity. You know, especially that with that whole what you said about ensuring that their values are what, you know, like it's easy for a brand to say that they have particular values, but it's not until you spend a little bit of time with them to know, you know, whether or not they follow through on those and they're consistent with those. And I love that that's so important to you to get to know for your, you know, your target audience, which you know.
Yeah, it's not just about me, it's about the broader community. And more often than not, I normally buy products at retail, just like a normal customer. They don't know me yet, and I'll be testing them on the side. I'll give them to some friends and people to test for me as well. And what do you think of this? Do we like it? So a lot goes into it before.
Yeah, it sure does. And you're always doing that on socials too, aren't you? Like, you're always sort of saying this or that, which one, and just sort of testing them.
Always testing.
Yeah, and that's amazing. Like, that just shows that you actually care, you know, like that shows that you have true alignment with your brand values.
Thank you. It's true. It's important. I don't want to recommend something or put something together that I'm not confident in.
Yeah, Yeah, amazing. All right, so let's get a little bit deeper. And if you don't mind, like just from a strategy perspective, so let's talk brand strategy for a minute.
Yeah.
If you don't mind sharing some insights on how, you know, gift giving within your business can strengthen your brand.
For sure. The first thing that comes to mind is, especially now, we're living in a digital world as it is at the moment.
Yeah.
But even more so now during, you know, the pandemic times of the world.
Yes.
So, so many people are sort of isolated, lockdowns, this and that. And yes, they can consume your brand digitally, but a lot of brands don't have anything tangible.
Mm-hmm.
So to actually receive something in your hands just deepens the connection a lot more, which I know you know with when we did your gifting. Being a digital brand yourself, you don't have a particular tangible product that you would ship off.
Yeah.
So it adds another layer, and you know they get that experience, that unboxing and customer experience. So that's one part that I think is kind of on a strategic route.
Yeah.
And then you're also, like, if you are strategic about also what gifts or what items you choose, you're potentially going to be in front of your customer daily, constantly. So you are their little reminders subconsciously all the time. So it's kind of like a little like referral base in the product. Like, you know, if they get asked for a recommendation, subconsciously you're in their brain already.
Yes.
You'll be someone that, first of all, stood out with something different and sent them something. And second of all, always that reminder being around. So it can go a lot deeper than people realize.
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost like, I mean, this is a really probably a bad example, but I guess it's like, you know, when you receive a magnet, like with you know, advertising on it, that sort of thing, it's like, or I don't know, I can't think of any really good examples off the top of my head, but that type of thing where you can actually, something that you can use that is just that constant reminder, you know, usually it's the takeaway shop or whatever, but, you know, I know that.
Yeah, like you might buy like a toaster and a kettle and they're on your bench all the time. And you see that little brand, or you see and you use your kettle every day to make your cuppa. And you're going to think, oh, I like my kettle. If someone asks me, I'll recommend mine.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, you know, like that feeling that people get when they receive a gift, like how like beautiful is that feeling when to know that somebody's thought of you, and especially I know your gifts are so can be personalized, and that's, you know, I think one of the most lovely things is that they're not just cookie cutter. You know, like it shows thought, and you know, if that's important to your brand, it's really important to go that little, like just spend that extra little bit of time, like really, isn't it, like that intentional thought can, and you know, and then when they see that item around the house, or when they're using it, like when they're having a cup of tea or whatever, in say for example a custom made mug that's got your logo stamped on the bottom, wink wink, you know, that just, it also reminds them of that positive experience and that feeling of and that can only be a good thing about, you know, strengthening your reputation and sort of I guess positioning your brand and strengthening it in their hearts and minds. So if you don't mind, could you, I mean, I just shared my personal example, but if you sort of have some ideas about how you can incorporate gifting into like your business. So maybe if you could give a few examples for e-commerce businesses. I know that they're product based anyway, but just like on around those. And then I guess particularly for online service providers, like it can really set your brand apart. So would love just some quick brainstorm ideas.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so with the e-com side, I feel like when you introduce gifting, it's different. Even though they receive a product from you, they've placed an order and it's coming and whatnot, they know what to expect. But with a gift, you really can surprise and delight them.
Yes.
So a few different ways that come to mind is if you have stockists, if you have stockists that stock your product, you know, they're placing sort of larger volumes throughout the year. You might want to send them an end of year thank you gift to sort of strengthen that relationship so they continue ordering from you in the following years. You might want to host giveaways or prizes or sorts, and that's kind of like a surprise there. I know some e-com businesses in the past, they've done like a new product launch. So we've sent some gifts to a few like influencers or a few of their highest paying customers, some of their like VIPs, just to launch something new. So there's a few different ways there.
Yeah, I love those.
Yeah, thanks. And then with the service-based business, I mean, the world is your oyster, I feel, with the service-based. So you could, if you have like a membership or something, or high-end mastermind, you could have like a welcome gift. If you do any kind of retreats, you can have something there to welcome them to the retreat, or something they might use throughout the retreat. A few coaches that I've worked with before, we send things that they're going to be using for the program. So there's like a few nice pamper things. There's also like a journal to do your work in, or sort of a mix of different products.
So is that sort of like thinking, this is where that whole strategic and intentional thought comes in, is like not just, you know, the start or the end, but like something that can be distributed throughout the period of working together? Yeah.
For sure. So we've I've worked with a few people that we kind of look at their whole year, and we see all the different opportunities where they can use gifts, and even people just want to buy a gift just because. They kind of allow one gift per year or something, if they're kind of in the coaching space, to just because we want to make you feel special, or something to celebrate a milestone in your life, or something, you know, like that. It's not as planned.
So that whole surprise and delight scenario, which just shows such thoughtfulness and means a lot.
Yeah, I think those ones in particular mean that little bit extra, because you're really thinking of them at that time, you know, for whatever reason you're celebrating.
Yeah, I've got all the warm fuzzies now.
Oh, thanks. That's what I love. Bring on all the warm fuzzies.
I just love the whole, you know, the concept of expressing gratitude, and, you know, and because as business owners, without our clients, we wouldn't have a business.
That's right.
And so it is a very humbling experience, I find, to engage with new clients, and you know, I think that sort of marking that, symbolizing, you know, I guess encompassing that gratitude within something physical, as you said, something tangible, just means that a bit extra than just an email saying thank you, or that type of thing. So so yeah, I just, wow, there's so much to think about. And I know that there's going to be so many ladies that sort of are going to be having their sparks fly off from listening to you, and just your philosophy is so beautiful and very inspiring.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. So is there anything else that you'd like to add or share to our brand lovers? Any like last final thoughts or tips or on how to approach gifting?
Yeah, for sure. The only few things that come to mind is there's no industry that I can think of, or that I've worked with, that you can't think of a way to show your gratitude or a way to implement gifting. Like, I even sometimes challenge people on Instagram, tell me what industry you think it is, and I'll share how you can implement gifting in that particular way. And also I want to bust the myth that it doesn't have to be a super big, expensive exercise.
Yeah.
A lot of people generally would think, you know, custom gifting especially, I need to get so much and a big volume and a big expensive exercise, when it doesn't have to be that way. For a few reasons, because at the end of the day, it's the thought that counts. I know that's sort of an older saying, but that's the reason you're doing it. It's not about the value of and how much money you're putting towards it. It's all about the thought. And that alone is what's going to last, and how you make your recipient feel is what's going to last, rather than, oh, how much did they spend on this kind of thing.
Yes. Can I just highlight that? It's not how much you spend, it's how you make them feel.
For sure.
That just lights me up.
Oh, it's
Sorry,
good. And
interrupted you there.
No, it's so good. That's fine. And, you know, if you might be a little bit, you know, financial conscious, which is totally fine. I can be like that in my business as well. Plan ahead. Yeah. It's so easy to, if you're launching something new, to factor something like this into your pricing. So you plan ahead, and then you don't really feel it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absorb it into the cost of running a business. Yeah.
So if it's something that you want to do on a regular basis, just treat it like an expense. Yeah. If you have a marketing expense or an ad expense or whatever it might be, it's the same thing. Those things put you in front of more people and strengthen your brand and awareness. And this is another way of doing that.
Yeah. And that's so important. And I love that tip. I really like that tip, especially, you know, like when you review your pricing structure once a year, which, you know, I know some of us don't, but we should technically be reviewing our pricing structure once a year. You know, that's something to consider, including that. And I love that tip. Like, I think that's a really good takeaway. So, oh my gosh, thank you so much for your time and your wisdom and your bubbly essence. Like, I just love hanging out with you. So thank you. So let us know where we can find you. Where can we find Sherbet Creations and Teresa?
So I am on Facebook and Instagram at Sherbet Creations, and then the website's just sherbetcreations.com.au.
Perfect. I love it. It's so easy.
Yeah, all the same everywhere. You'll find me.
So go and search for Teresa. Go and follow her on Instagram particularly. I know that she loves to hang out there too, and say hello, and let her know what you got out of this episode. I'm sure she would love to have a chat.
Oh, yes, please. Come and say hi.
All right. Thanks, Teresa.
Thanks, Rachel.
If you loved listening to this week's episode, pretty please click subscribe so that you don't miss any future podcasts. Also, if you have just a minute, please feel free to leave a 5-star review wherever you're listening. I'd so appreciate it, and it will help spread this message further. Thanks for being here. I'll catch you next week.